discussion. The White House is considering who's going to replace Michael Flynn as President Trump's national security advisor. Reuters is reporting that the job's already been offered to someone by the president, Admiral Robert Harward. If it's not clear if he's accepted the offer at this point, joining us now, Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker. He serves on both the Armed Services Committee and the Commerce Committee. Senator, do you know the Admiral?
I hear he's a tough guy, Naval Academy graduate, friend of General Mattis. But what I heard was that CNBC had reported this, so you're reporting somebody else, from what I understand.
Yeah, what I saw in him was he was like one of the top special ops guys, and really, they call him meta, but like this guy, I think he was referred to as like a real badass or something. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but
I hear he's got a scar on his face from a bar fight, and he's a pretty tough hombre.
Yeah, which is, we use that term a lot. The latest, and all you got to do is look at the newspaper, the front pages today, Senator. What's the crux here? Whether the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians, or is it the way these leaks are being orchestrated for political ends? Or both? Both things need to be investigated.
Well, I think they will be investigated, and I really hope the intelligence committees do this, and I think that's the appropriate forum. We don't need a special commission, and we don't need to blow this out of proportion. Look, if the National Security Advisor spoke to the Russian ambassador, you would think they would talk about policy, and you would think they would talk about sanctions that might have just been imposed by the Obama administration going out the door. And if, for example, I'm just speculating, if for example, the National Security Advisor said, let's don't get overly worried about these recently imposed sanctions. We'll see what happens after the inauguration, and we'll visit about that. I'm just not totally shocked if that's the sort of conversation that went forward. I think probably the mistake was not leveling with the vice president and sending him out to the press to say the wrong thing.
I mean, we're pretty sure that there were some similar conversations in prior administrations, maybe with Iran, about things that might be, in the future, and I'll have more flexibility after the next election. That famous quote right there. But I guess it is not being forthcoming with Vice President Pence. What about all the idea that he's a private citizen? There probably wasn't a warrant. I guess they were listening to the Russians and inadvertently heard this conversation. Is that the word on this? I mean, the whole process is sort of interesting. Not just the issue itself. The process of how this all came about is kind of interesting.
Well, General Flynn he's been around the track a couple of times. I just can't believe that it didn't occur to him that this would be recorded by the Russians at least, and that somebody was listening in on our side to a conversation with the diplomat. So to me, I think he probably was mindful of that, and I'm willing to give General Flynn the benefit of the doubt and say that he didn't realize the significance of his conversation with the vice president.
Senator, you think any of this is payback for where the President Trump said, before he was president, said, intelligence community and in quotation marks? I mean, is there any conspiracy out to get him within the intelligence services? Do you think?
I couldn't say. I couldn't say. I do think presidents have always been concerned about leaks. I think if I were advising Donald Trump, I'd say we need to get to the bottom of this, but please, let's not get overly overwrought about this, and let's get back to the things that put us in office, and really the pretty terrific accomplishments that we've been able to have in the first few weeks, and that includes killing a lot of job-killing regulations, getting those off the books, putting a really good team in place. I mean, I think we're off to a good start if we can get these distractions out of the way.
Senator, you called them distractions, but the larger question does involve and still hangs over the administration in terms of what has taken place with Russia. Whether what happened on the call was legal or not, lying both inside the administration and the lies that were then retold to the public. Do you have no concerns about those things at all?
I think we have to put it in perspective, and I expect that it's going to be as I described it. I do think the vice president needed to be concerned about going out and saying something based on what he was told, and turning out that was false. I think he was correct to be upset about that, and I think all in all, it was good for the general to resign.
But either way, whether it's right or wrong for the leaks to be happening, clearly there's some form of insurrection taking place, or at least a disconnect between the intelligence services and Donald Trump, and he has to somehow deal with it. How should he deal with it? What is the answer? How do they get back on track? Because if we do have a crisis at some point and they're not on the same page, that's a much bigger problem.
I think he should put his national security team in charge of it, have them thoroughly investigate to the extent that they can, and I think they have the resources to do that. And then I think he needs to get back to the business at hand and do the sorts of things that got him elected president to start with.
Real quickly, Senator, it's Walter Isaacson.
Hey, Walter.
Hey, good to see you again. This report that Steven Feinberg might be brought in to oversee everything, does that help? That hurt?
That's speculation, and I don't know. You know, I really think Reince Priebus can be a good White House chief of staff if he's got the authority to manage the White House staff.
We hear he might not have.
I have a lot
of
of confidence in him.
There's a lot of people trying to push him. What do you know about that?
I don't know anything about it, so I won't comment.
All right. Pretty, I guess, yeah. And you don't think that the president should have stood by Flynn, do you? Because we know who Flynn's enemies are. I mean, you know how much the last administration didn't like this guy. Should he have stuck by him, or did he get pushed out?
I think he was correct to ask for the resignation, and I think General Flynn was correct to resign under the circumstances.
All right, Senator, thanks. Appreciate your time. Thank you.